All right. Thank you very much for our prayer song. Well, good morning to everyone. Hello po sa inyo for today's attendees. So now, today's free info session, I'm one of the hosts. My name is Jazer from iPass Processing. Together with me is Miss Debbie. So we are one of the assigned staff for the NCLEX Australia. So, first and foremost, I would like to thank you for attending today's Zoom orientation. And this discussion will take less than 30 minutes. Depende po sa questions ninyo. And if you have any questions naman po, you may raise later after the discussion para tuloy-tuloy po ang discussion natin. And also, you may simply chat here in our chat box. And also, I would like to confirm if we have a foreign attendance today's free info session webinar. So kindly chat your full name, email address, and direct phone number here in the chat box. All right. And also, other attendees, kindly provide your full name and email address and direct phone number. And you may chat in our chat box. All right. And also, I hope my audio is audible po sa end ninyo. All right. So now, today's free info session webinar, I will discuss to you the application, the NCLEX Australia application. All right. But before that, let me share my screen first. All right. And I hope, sorry for that. All right. So I hope my screen is already reflected to your end. All right. So now, before I proceed to the discussion of NCLEX Australia application, let me share with you. I will introduce to you the iPass processing. All right. So the iPass processing, last 2016 of May, founded by Miss Rachel Olivar and her talented sisters Jean Jimenez, Janet Olivar, Joyce Parugao, and Joris Olivar. And also 2019, last of April, expanded our company to Manila naman po. And then 2020 of February, our company branched out to Cebu to high market demand. And this year of August, we have a new branch, which is in Baguio. All right. So now in iPass, we already help thousands of nurses and other medical related professionals, and not just Filipinos, but foreign clients as well, since our goal is to be globally recognized. Okay. On this free info session webinar, I will discuss to you on how to become a registered nurse in Australia. All right. So on this purpose, the purpose of this discussion is for us to discuss the roadmap of your NCLEX Australia application, the cost of investment, and requirements that you need to prepare. Also, our goal here is to help you streamline your application and experience a hassle-free process with iPass. Since meron pong mga clients na busy and cannot process their applications on their own, and also they have to prepare for the examination, right? And also, we'll give you a short overview about the NCLEX Australia, or how to become a registered nurse in Australia. So before, they have the old pathway na fina-follow, and tinatawag nila itong bridging program. On this bridging program, kailangan nyo pang mag-aral ng 2 taon before you can practice as a registered nurse in Australia. Of course naman po, it's too costly, lalo na sa accommodations ninyo sa Australia, may daily allowance pa, and tuition fees depending sa terms ng school. But the good thing po, the bridging program was replaced to a new pathway, and they called it OBA pathway. So it's OBA pathway. It's stands for outcome-based assessment. And this process po, it consists only two examination, which is the NCLEX examination and OSCE examination, right? So now, if you're going to ask me po, ano po mas easier na NCLEX? Actually, NCLEX Australia is the same with NCLEX USA and NCLEX Canada. They have like the same content of exam, review materials, and testing centers. But the only difference among the three examinations po is the process lang. Okay? Now, speaking of process, meron pong mga applicants na nagpa-process po by their own. So while doing the application without asking any assistance, syempre, may encounter nila yung mga common problems. First dyan is masastuck sila sa middle of the process. Hindi nila alam yung proper format and guidelines na nare-require ng Board of Nursing ng Australia. And also, hindi po nila uh, hindi nila alam yung proper procedure to complete the process. And lastly, they are undecided to choose between NCLEX US and NCLEX Australia. If you're undecided to choose between the NCLEX US, Canada, or NCLEX Australia, well, we have facts na i-share sa inyo. So the facts about the NCLEX Australia po, you can practice as a nurse in each territory or province in Australia. Unlike sa US, per state yung pagiging registered nurse nyo doon. When it comes in Australia po, whole Australia po yung pagiging nurse nyo doon. Secondly, your score can be used or your score can be transferred in US or in Canada. Thirdly, your license can be endorsed in Texas or in New Zealand. Thirdly, no age limit as long as you fulfill the task as a nurse in Australia. And lastly, no work experience and English proficiency exam during the application process. Kasi po, nire-require po ito during on your license registration. On the next slide, this is the services that we offers sa inyo. First is meron po kaming NCLEX Australia examination. If your goal is to take the NCLEX exam in Australia, OSCE examination, your goal is to become a registered nurse talaga sa Australia, then you have to apply this examination. Also, we have NCLEX online review, OSCE review, license registration, Australia tourist visa, endorsement to partner recruitment agency, requirements notarization, criminal background check, license endorsement to US to New Zealand, license endorsed to New Zealand to Australia naman po. On the next slide, this is to process your NCLEX Australia. Then you have to follow or meron po mga qualifications na kailangan nyo i-follow. First is must be a nursing graduate. And then secondly, must be a registered nurse in your home country. And I believe all of my attendees today are pasok for this qualification, right? And also, meron pong mga requirements na kailangan nyo i-submit. So this is the initial requirements that you need to submit. First is the BSN diploma or college diploma, transcript of record or TOR, RLE, passport with your signature, and lastly, the PRC certificate. Or pwede na po yung lupon ng mga nurses if available. And this is the roadmap and fees of your NCLEX Australia application. So it has only 4 steps. So on the step 1, let me proceed with the step 1, which is the assessment and pre-qualification assessment. So the service fee that we have is 175 USD. On this step po, you need to submit the following requirements for the initial assessment. So the initial assessment of your requirements is kind of crucial kasi kailangan po namin i-evaluate if na-meet po ba ng credentials ninyo and criteria sa Board of Nursing ng Australia. In case naman po na kailangan ninyo mag-submit ng additional requirements, nothing to worry kasi we will inform you naman to comply before we submit your documents sa Board of Nursing. And also, speaking of your requirements, one of the advantage po ng NCLEX Australia, the process is hassle-free kasi when it comes to the submission of your documents kasi hindi na kailangan na office-to-office basis ang transaction. Like school to Board of Nursing or PRC to Board of Nursing. So, ang kailangan nyo lang gawin is to scan sa mga requirements niyo and submit nyo sa amin. And then kami na din bahala mag-submit sa mga mag-submit sa documents niyo and magpa-notarize sa mga documents niyo as well. All right? So now, once your requirements are all good to go, we will now proceed with your step 2 of your application to settle the application fee of Board of Nursing and for us to submit of your requirements. So on this step 2, which is the 450 AUD, Australian US dollar, on this step, once um, na-send or na-submit na namin yung documents niyo doon sa Board of Nursing ng Australia, then you will be receiving a eligibility letter. Once you receive the eligibility letter, pwede na po tayo mag-proceed sa step 3, which is the NCLEX exam registration and scheduling. And please take note naman po that the waiting time to receive your eligibility or approval to sit for the NCLEX examination will take 4 to 12 weeks and wala pong expiration ang eligibility ninyo to take the NCLEX Australia. So no pressure. You may proceed or take the NCLEX examination kapag ready na po kayo. Okay? Now, once you pass on the step 3, which is the NCLEX exam, once you pass, you have the options naman po to transfer your score sa US like NMI Saipan or Colorado. However, if you decided talaga na continue your OBA pathway application or to become a registered nurse in Australia, we will go ahead and proceed with your step 4 for your OSCE examination. Okay? So I'll just give you a background about this examination, OSCE examination. So the OSCE stands for Objective Structured Clinical Examination. It is a clinical exam. So para kayong nag-return demo. Unlike sa NCLEX examination na computer-based lang siya. And for OSCE naman po, meron po tao mag-a-assess sa iyo or mag-sit in or mag-observe sa inyo how safe or qualified as a nurse you are. And also this examination po, it is a 3 to 4 hours examination. You will be given 10 stations and bibigyan po kayo ng 10 minutes each stations to read and demonstrate the scenario. So now, once you pass on this examination, the OSCE examination, we can go ahead and process your license registration and endorse you to our partner recruitment agency. And our partner recruitment agency will communicate with you regarding the application process po. Okay? Now, to continue this discussion, the next slide is our bundle package that we offer you. If gusto nyo pong i-avail ang bundle package namin, the step 1 service fee plus NCLEX online review, you can save the 97.5 USD. As you can see here, the step one service fee that we have is 175 USD. Once you settle the step 1 service fee today, I can give you the 25 USD less. So bale yung mababayaran nyo na lang po is 150, or in peso that's 8,490. Okay? Now, if you're going to avail our bundle package, which is the step 1 service fee plus NCLEX online review, I can give you the 15% discount sa service fee and 2,500 less naman po for the NCLEX online review. So bale, in peso, that's 7,216.50 sa service fee, and then sa online review is 7,500 naman po. All right? So now I think that's the end of our discussion about the NCLEX Australia application. So do you have any questions naman po regarding the process? We can assist you naman po. And also, I have Miss Debbie to assist you regarding on your concern, clarification regarding the process. All right, Miss Debbie.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Jazer. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Debbie. I'm one of the assigned staff po sa NCLEX Australia. Thank you so much, Sir Jazer, for discussing the NCLEX Australia application process. So, by the way, the discussion about the NCLEX online review, if you have any questions, then we have Miss Rachel Olivar, our CEO, to discuss the NCLEX Australia NCLEX online review after answering your questions. But first, Ma'am Rachel, I'll answer their questions first. Then you may discuss the online review later. Thank you so much. So, my question po dito sa chat box. By the way, you can unmute if you want to ask question, but okay lang din na i-chat dito sa chat box. Let's answer first Miss Lovely Miss Lovely's question. Are there any hidden charges or yun na po yung nasa screen? Sir Jader, can you go back dun sa slide na may roadmap? Thank you. Regarding po dito sa fees po, Miss Lovely, ito na po yung mababayaran. Siguro yung other fees na lang is yung credit card transaction fee na $10 every transaction. Kasi the application and examination and OSCE examination fees, si IPAS po yung magbabayad. Si IPAS yung magbabayad in behalf of the client. So yung mababayaran na lang na additional fee is yung credit card transaction, and yung notarization naman, since kami din yung nag-process, so we will give you the computation kung magkano yung babayaran natin for notarization. But first, we have to count kung magkano ilang documents yung kailangan natin ipa-notarize. So in peso, yung notarization per document naman is nasa 350 lang siya. So yun lang naman yung mga other charges na wala dito sa ano natin sa steps na nilagay namin dito sa fees. And let's proceed kay Miss Christine. Since Oscar will be taken in Australia, do you still assist in going to Australia? Yes, Miss Christine, we can definitely assist with your tourist visa since our entry papunta Australia is tourist visa. So we are happy to inform you na nag-a-assist na po kami ng tourist visa, not just for OSCE takers, but also if you want to go to Australia for leisure, then we can definitely assist your tourist visa po. So pwede nyo pong isama yung family ninyo. And let's proceed kay Miss Kim. Where is the NCLEX Review Center? Do we need to go there? The NCLEX reviews, our NCLEX review po is an online review. Miss Rachel will discuss later about the NCLEX review. Wala pa po tayong face-to-face since our educators, they're located then sa US. So wala pa tayong ngayon, face-to-face. So let's proceed kay Sir Randy. Yung sa review package po, online po ba? Yes, Sir Randy. Online po yung review natin. So again, Miss Rachel will discuss later the review. Yes, Miss Lovely, you're very welcome po. Miss Aloysius, Sir Aloysius, if ready na po mag-take ng exam for NCLEX, saan po yung testing center? Good question po, Sir John. Actually, you can take the NCLEX Australia dito sa Philippines or kahit outside Philippines kasi may mga testing centers din tayo abroad. If saan po kayo currently located or saan yung mas malapit sa inyo, then we will look for the nearest testing center para doon na lang po kayo mag-exam. Kung nasa Philippines po kayo, yung testing center natin sa NCLEX is located sa Makati po. Ayan, so do you also process dependent visa if ever? Regarding naman po sa visa, we have, nasa ano na po yan siya, sa employer na po yan siya, Miss Lovely. Depende po if ever yung employer is nag-offer ng sponsorship So, depende na po yun sa kanilang offer. We only process po kasi NCLEX examination or licensure examination for Australia talaga. And let's proceed kay Miss Amir. I already have a schedule for NCLEX New York application this December. If ever I pass the exam, can I transfer the score to NCLEX Australia? Okay, how will be the process and fees? Good question po, Miss Amir. Sir Jazer, can you go back din sa roadmap? Ayan. So if ever po NCLEX passer na kayo, you don't need to take the NCLEX Australia exam. All you need to do is to proceed with the step 1, step 2, and step 4 na lang. So exam exemption po yung magiging application natin. Dadaan pa rin po tayo sa step 1, which we will assess your initial requirements, and then mag-a-apply pa rin tayo sa Board of Nursing ni Australia. And after applying sa Board of Nursing in Australia, then we'll proceed sa OSCE examination. There's no need for you to take the NCLEX na po. So we will just ask you to submit a document as a proof na NCLEX passer po kayo from US para exempted po kayo from taking NCLEX Australia. Okay, so let's proceed kay Sir Weldan, Miss Weldan. Once we pass the NCLEX exam and they decide to take the OSCE, where it will be held. Yung OSCE examination po, sa Australia po siya iti-take, sa Adelaide, yung simulation lab ng OSCE. So again, we can assist sa tourist visa ninyo as your entry papuntang Australia. And saan iti-take yung OSCE? Yes po, Miss Kim, sa Australia iti-take yung OSCE. And we have a partner review center for OSCE. So Sinai po yung partner review center natin for OSCE. Hindi naman siya compulsory, but we really recommend po na mag-review talaga kayo for your OSCE examination since it's really a challenging type of nursing exam. So kailangan din talaga natin paghandaan. Of course, sayang din yung bayad natin. Yung review center naman, yung mababayaran natin since they're our partner, lesser na lang yung mababayaran natin compared sa original price or if direct talaga kayo sa kanila mag-enroll. Usually nasa around 3,500 to 5,500 AUD yung mababayaran kung direct kayo mag-enroll sa kanila. But if IPAS applicant po kayo, yung mababayaran na lang natin is 2,500 and hindi po siya one-time payment. So makaka-prepare pa talaga kayo. Staggered payment siya, 500 AUD for enrollment, 1,000 AUD before the class starts, and 1,000 AUD before the mock test. So pwede siya staggered. And unlimited nyo po siyang ma-access yung OSCE examination OSCE review until you pass the OSCE examination po. And they offer blended mode of education, yung partner review namin sa OSCE. If nasa Philippines pa kayo, then you can attend the online review, but they really recommend you to go to Australia 1 week before your OSCE exam para maka-attend po kayo sa mock test. Ayan po. So let's proceed kay Miss Gemma B. May partner po ba kayo sa part ng Perth, Australia, or paano yon after ng step 4? After completing this process, since we will be endorsing you to our partner recruitment agency, sila yung interview sa inyo. So they will show you the list of their employers, and not sure if meron po silang employer na nasa Perth, but Miss Rachel, andito po ba si Sir Frank to discuss then later about the possible territories sa Australia?
Yes, he will be with us at 11. So after this question and answer, I'll be providing the information about how we're going to go about the NCLEX review. And then one of our partners, our exclusive partners, the AUS Path Agency, their director will be with us to orient us how it will be with regard naman for your career progression after you pass your NCLEX, your OSCE, and then you already have your license. So they have contact employers in Australia who can become your employers once you will already be there. And they are also in partnership with immigration agency who's going to facilitate everything when it comes to the immigration documents that you will be needing pertaining to the visa na kailangan natin. So he will be with us at 11.
Yes, good to know, Miss Rachel, para at least mabigyan natin ng information din yung mga attendees. So yeah, very excited then to have Sir Frank discuss about the employment process. So let's proceed kay Miss Amir. How will be the review for OSCE? So yung review po, again, it's a meron po silang or they offer blended mode of education online and face-to-face. And yung review naman, 2 weeks siya, but unlimited yung po siyang ma-access until you pass the OSCE examination. Ayan. So, ano po yung NCLEX score na need sa Australia? Actually, yung updated na passing score ng NCLEX Australia, let me check po dito.
I will
Kasi,
take
yes,
the
ma'am.
question, Miss Debbie, to
Sure po.
orient our attendees as well. As to the scores, regardless wherever you got or you process the NCLEX application, may it be for NCLEX USA, Australia, or Canada, as what was Sir Sir mentioned earlier, that the examination will exactly be the same. It's just the process that will differ once we're going to apply, because if we're going to process for NCLEX USA, we have to apply through the specific boards of nursing in each of the state wherever we can submit our application, wherever it is easier for us to be approved for the examination. Now, in Australia, it will be submitted to AFRA, their board of nursing in Australia. And then if in Canada, it's also the same, it's also a different kind of process, because you have to there is also a territory or the provinces that we call in Canada, wherein you have to choose which one do you want to choose for the application on your NCLEX. And then there's a College of Nursing that we also have to apply in there. So procedure wise, it's a different, but the examination per se is exactly the same. As to the number of items, it will be the same length of examination, difficulty of examination, and it's a computer adaptive testing. So as to the scores, it is standard for all. I mean, across all, may it be for Australia, Canada, or the USA. There is no like specific, you have to get 50% or 60% or 70% a score. The NCLEX is being made by NCSBN, and it is being administered in Pearson VUE testing centers. So as per NCSBN, for them to be able to know, or for them to be able to have you a passing result on your examination, the one that they have written there, that is just a minimum passing, it's a minimum passing or a minimum qualification that they will be able to assess that you are a safe nurse on an entry level, as an entry-level nurse. So they don't require you to have the scores of a very proficient nurse, but it's just an entry-level nurse. So there is no like, you have to be able to get a 50% or 70% or 80%. There is no percentage that was indicated by NCSBM. Although there is like what we call the this is I'm going to show you something to address that. Debbie, can you allow me to share my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the distribution of the examination. This is the distribution of the examination. As you know, the NCLEX is already a next generation NCLEX. So on your NCLEX examination, may it be for Australia, Canada, or USA, this is the distribution of the examination. So you have here management of care, safety and infection control, health promotion, psycho, basic care and comfort, pharma, reduction risk, and physiologic adaptation. So these are the percentages as to the distribution of the questions. And then this is categorized into 5 client needs. So in the examination, you have to be able 5 or 6 client needs. In the examination, you have to be able to reach an above the passing standard so that you will have a passing result on your examination. So they are, after you have done the examination, they're going to assess what was your performance. Were you able to meet among those client needs? Was your performance above the passing standard or below the passing standard? Because there will be 3 results. It's above the passing standard, near the passing standard, or below the passing standard. If your overall performance on each of the client needs, which composes all of these distribution that I have shown you here in the screen, if there is something there that is just near the passing standard or below the passing standard, even just one, so you will not be able to make it on your examination. So that's why we really encourage everyone who's preparing for the examination to have it, or to have a comprehensive preparation, so that we really know how we are going to attack your questions when it comes to the preparation of your NCLEX. Although DIY on the preparation can be possible, but as we have seen on the best practices of the nurses who were able to make it, they really chose a certain review center, because the difference is with the review center, there is a complete guidance on what topics you have to know, what are the highly probable topics that you have to focus on. So there is a holistic guidance when it comes to the preparation of your NCLEX. So as to the question ni ma'am earlier, if there is a specific score, there is none. You just have to have like you have to be they have to be able to assess you as a safe nurse on an entry level nurse. Over to you, Debbie, again.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Rachel, for that information. It's very informative po. So yeah, we hope na sagutan po namin yung question niyo, Sir John. And yeah, wala po talagang exact na score for NCLEX. Yun din kasi usually yung tinatanong sa atin, Miss Rachel. But yeah, especially ngayon, meron na tayong new generation. Kasi computer po talaga yung mag-a-assess how safe or qualified as a nurse you are. So let's proceed kay Miss Ivy. If ever I pass the NCLEX Australia, pwede po ba ma-transfer yung score sa Canada? Good question, Miss Ivy. Actually, most of our applicants na nag-NCLEX Australia, kasi again, pwede po tayo mag-take ng NCLEX Australia. Pwede na po hindi i-take yung OSCE kung yung goal natin is gamitin yung NCLEX Australia score sa Canada or US. So definitely you can apply for an exam exemption sa NCLEX Canada kung naipasa po natin yung NCLEX Australia. So yes po. And let's proceed kay Ms. Gemma B. Can I also ask, based on experience sa mga clients, ano po yung mas madali may pass na NCLEX? US, Australia NCLEX, or ano po ba yung difference nila? Regarding po dito sa question niyo, Miss Genevieve, I think nasagutan na po ni Miss Rachel kanina. Again, NCLEX US and NCLEX Australia, they're the same, but iba-iba lang po sila ng process. And there's no specific passing score talaga. Kasi yung na-discuss ni Miss Rachel kanina, si computer talaga yung mag-a-assess. Depende po sa sagot ninyo. Kasi base experience ng mga applicants, sa mga clients namin na nag-take na ng NCLEX, bigla-bila na lang yung computer na tawag nito, nag-stop kasi kahit nasa ano pa sila, nasa 50 items pa sila, nasa-stop na yung computer because the computer already assessed that you're safe as a nurse or you're not safe as a nurse. So it's not an indication talaga na kapag nag-stop yung computer is you already passed or if you already failed, if you fail or pass the examination. So the result will be received for NCLEX Australia, your result will be received after 6 weeks or earlier po.
I can provide more information on that as well, in addition to what Debbie
Yes po.
mentioned earlier, to address the question of Ms. Jemmy B. So as to the difficulty level, it's really exactly the same. So for example, you might if you have heard coming from your friends who are applying for the USA, that they might have the misconception of, I'm going to apply through New York Board of Nursing because this might be easier compared to the NCLEX if I'm going to apply through California Board of Nursing. So regardless as to which Board of Nursing we're going to apply, and even regardless whichever country we're going to apply, if it's US, Australia, or Canada, the examination per se is exactly the same. As to the minimum number of questions, it will be 85 up to 150. So, i-correct ko lang yung information coming from Debbie. Ang minimum number natin previously during the traditional one, it was a 75 to 140. Now when they changed it to NGN, which was changed last April, that became as 85 a minimum. That's the minimum number, and then the maximum number is 150 questions. So at any number after number 85, your computer can shut down and it can reach up to 150, or if you have already consumed the maximum number of hours, examination hours, which is 5 hours, it can also stop. So the length of your examination will be from 85 up to 150 items, and it can stop from number 85 or anytime after number 85, so long as the computer was already able to assess you. So what's your performance? Is it above the passing standard or below the passing standard? So there is no guarantee, like if you have already reached number 85 and your computer shut off, that doesn't mean that you were not able to that doesn't mean that you will be able to fail the examination or you will pass the examination. It really depends on how you performed on your examination. So there's a certain decision rule that NCSBN is following. So there's like if you were able to if it's run out of time, if you consume all of the questions, if you have reached the 95% confidence rule, that meaning to say at 95% after the number 85, the computer has already assessed you that you are a safe nurse, then you will be able to pass the examination. Or if at 95% confidence interval, the computer has assessed that you are not yet a safe nurse, then at any number after number 85, your computer can shut down. Or if you have reached up to the maximum number, so they're going to check on your performance. So what was your performance? Is it above the passing standard or below the passing standard? So say for example, another decision rule which pertains to the run out of time, meaning to say you have consumed everything, but you have reached the 5 hours total testing time, but you have not reached up to 150 questions and you run out of time. So there is still a qualification, a criteria. I mean to say that they're going to check. So at least you have to be able to reach up to number 85. You have finished at least number 85 for them to be able to assess and go back again. What was your performance? Is it above the passing standard or below the passing standard? So it's not really on the question of a country in relation to the examination, which we can say Australia is easier or US is easier, Canada is easier. There should be no question as to that one, because across all state boards in the US, across these 3 countries, the examination will be the same. Ayun. Back to you again, Ma'am Debbie. I hope I answered your
Yes.
question, Jemmy B.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Rachel. Kasi merong applicant din na nag-share na 20 items, I think 20 to 50 items ata yun, na-shutdown na daw yung computer niya. So, anyway, 85 items po pala yung minimum. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Miss Genevieve. So, now let's proceed kay Miss Kim. After passing step 4, need pa rin po ba IELTS? Okay, so nag-mention si Sir Jaser kanina na English exam and work experience, hindi siya nire-require talaga during the application or even taking the NCLEX and OSCE examination. However, your English exam will be needed as well as your work experience will be needed during the license registration. It means na kailangan po natin na ipasa muna yung NCLEX and OSCE uh, for you to submit the English proficiency certificate as well as your certificate of employment. At least 3 months lang naman yung nare-require ng Board of Nursing to process your license registration. So wag niyo munang i-take yung IELTS or actually yung Board of Nursing in Australia, tumatanggap naman sila ng OET, PTE, or TOEFL and IELTS. We recommend lang OET kasi mas easier siya and yung mga questions din is related sa profession niyo so makaka-relate po kayo. Pero okay din naman kung meron kayong IELTS na as long as it's academic. So tinatanggap naman po siya but we do not recommend na i-take yung IELTS or yung English test prior to license registration. I mean, prior to taking the NCLEX and OSCE kasi na-expire po siya after 2 years. So, sayang po if ever na maabutan ng expiration. So, let's proceed kay Miss Weldon. Assuming that we already passed the NCLEX and OSCE, what is the assurance that we can land a job in Australia? Do they require current nursing experience? Miss Rachel, can I disclose that the requirement of the AS path or Sir Frank will discuss about that later.
Sir Frank is actually already with us and he can be able to discuss to you about the requirements later. Yeah, Sir Frank is the managing director of AUS Path Agency or exclusive partner for your employment needs once you have already done your NCLEX and your OSCE. Hello, Sir Frank.
Hi, Sir Frank.
As to the examination, so the first step is for you to have your NCLEX and your OSCE. On that part, there is no requirement as to the experience. There is no requirement as to the experience on this step. But once you proceed with your license registration, there is a certain number of hours that you should have completed as part of your experience. And then on the employment part, they have a specific length of experience that they will be needing coming from you. So Sir Frank later will provide you that information. How many years will they be needing, or those employers in Australia, how many years will they be needing as to your experience as a nurse? Ma'am Debbie.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Rachel. So yes, Miss Weldon will provide you that information later. So let's go ahead sa question ni Miss Lovely. Last question na lang po, di ba wala na pong OSCE for Canada? If mag-apply po kami doon, possible po ba, nurse? Regarding po sa Canada, ma'am, we have a separate orientation about Canada for us to discuss about the process. So iba din po kasi yung process ng Canada. So we'll kindly send us an email para ma-book namin kayo separately for NCLEX Canada na orientation. Thank you so much po. And sa question ni Miss Ivy, ilang buwan po yung tourist visa para mag-exam ng OSCE sa Australia? Usually po, I'm not one of the tourist visa assigned staff, but an information or little information coming from the tourist visa staff. Usually, nabibigyan naman sila ng 3 months to 6 months na stay doon. But depende naman kung gusto nyo talaga ubusin yung 3 months na stay doon sa Australia. But further information about tourist visa, we can assist you with the right staff po. Makakasagot po sila sa mga questions ninyo. You may just send us a message para po ma-forward namin sa science staff. Pwede po bang mag-take ng NCLEX Australia if naka-student visa na po doon? Yes po, Miss Juliet. Pwede po kayo mag-take ng NCLEX Australia. Marami po kaming applicants actually na pinagsabay nila yung student visa nila sa Australia since nagpa-process din kami ng student visa for Australia. Pinagsasabay nila yung NCLEX Australia application and yung kanilang student visa na application. So kami din yung nagpa-process ng kanilang student visa and ng NCLEX Australia. And how much ang show money ng tourist visa? Regarding po sa show money, depende po siya. Our assigned staff lang po talaga yung makapag bibigay ng information na to, ma'am. No worries. We have our assigned staff na pwedeng tumawag sa inyo or mag-book ng one-on-one session or Zoom para masagutan po yung mga questions niyo. Kindly send us a message na lang po sa email namin. So, Sir Jazer, pwede po ba na ma-provide yung email natin dito sa chat box para diretso na po yung kanilang concern dun sa email natin for tourist visa, the OBA email. Thank you, Sir Jazer.
Yes po.
Let's proceed sa question ni Visa Disa. After tourist visa out of our pocket for OSCE exam, how many weeks would we wait for the result, and is working visa be catered by the employer if we pass the OSCE? So yung result po ng OSCE will be received after 6 to 8 weeks or earlier. And regarding naman po sa working visa, we have Sir Frank na makaka-discuss po later. So kindly ano po tayo, wait po tayo sa kay Sir Frank na magbigay ng information about the employer later after ni Miss Rachel mag-discuss sa online review. So yes, thank you so much. Any question? Let's proceed. Kay Miss Chemabi, ask ko lang ano po mas okay, mas student visa or direction ng NCLEX Australia. Okay. Regarding po sa pros and cons ng student visa and NCLEX Australia, if your goal talaga is maging registered nurse doon sa Australia, we suggest to take the OBA pathway or the OBA pathway, which is mas ano talaga siya, mas easier siya mas cost effective siya compared sa student visa. But if you want naman na while you are studying while working then doon sa Australia, then okay din yung student visa actually. Depende po talaga yon sa option ni client and of course sa budget ni client. But before kasi yung student visa and para siyang bridging program before, you need to study before kayo maging registered nurse. So yun yung pathway before, or ngayon din yung iba nagsa-student visa sila. So if ever naman na yung choice niyo talaga is maging RN talaga less than a year, or ayaw nyo na umabot after 2 years or magantay ng 2 years before kayo maging registered nurse, then we suggest OBA pathway po talaga or taking NCLEX Australia. Yes, that's correct po, Miss Rachel. How long po ang OSCE exam in Australia, weeks or months po? Actually, yung OSCE examination, nasa 3 hours lang po siya na examination. I'll just give you a little background about or overview about OSCE examination. Para po kayong nag-return demo nito, as what Sir Jazer mentioned kanina, you will be given 10 stations, and each station, iba-iba po yung scenario. So you will be given 10 minutes each station, and 2 minutes to read the scenario or question, and 8 minutes to demonstrate the proper procedure. So yun po yung magiging scenario ng OSCE examination. And yes, so let's proceed sa other question. Okay, so wala na po bang other questions or clarifications? You may unmute if gusto niyo po na magtanong pa, or if you want to ask something that you cannot express dito sa chat, so pwede po kayong mag-unmute. But anyway, if you have a follow-up question, pwede nyo pong i-chat dito sa chat box. I think we have to proceed sa online review discussion with Miss Rachel. So Miss Rachel, your turn.
I think I don't have much time because it's only 10 minutes. So we will just proceed with the orientation or the discussion of Sir Frank, and then after Sir Frank's discussion, then I will have the discussion for my for the NCLEX for the next generation online review program that we can offer to you. So
Okay.
we will first have to, as what I've mentioned earlier, so Sir Frank is the managing director of OSPATH agency, and they are the ones who has the contacts for the employers who can provide you the employment opportunities once you will already be there in Australia, or even up to now. That's a good thing that you are here on this information session, so that you'll be able to know how the things will be done with regard to the employment opportunities that the employers can offer you. So AUS Path is an onboarding company. Actually, they have a website that you can also check. It's auspathagency.com. And we will first have to look at the video, the corporate video of AUS Path, and after which Sir Frank will be presenting to you his presentation. Miss Debbie, can we go ahead with the corporate video?
Yes. Just give me a minute.
Hi, I'm Les Unford-Orban, CEO of OSPATH Agency. Together with my esteemed cousin Frank Unford-Orban, our Managing Director, we co-founded OSPATH driven by a pressing need, the shortage of skilled nurses in Australia. In the heart of this challenge, we recognise the urgency to act. The aged care sector in Australia is facing a shortfall of nearly 140,000 workers by 2025, with 30 to 35,000 nurses needed each year, according to CEDA. Through our thorough research and discovery, we found that on the other side of the world, numerous talented international nurses dreamt of contributing to Australia's healthcare. However, the path to AFRA registration was riddled with complexities and barriers, making it impossible for many to consider Australia as a career option. That's where OSPATH stepped in. We streamlined the AFRA registration process, offering a faster and cost-effective journey for international nurses. Our transitional pathway not only simplifies AFRA registration, but also navigates the complexities of visa requirements, including DAMA and company-specific labour agreements. This streamlined approach ensures international nurses can start their Australian nursing career without unnecessary delays. Our strategic process helps navigate the complex process all the way through to selecting the most appropriate visa. This helps to ensure longevity and dedication from employees for healthcare organisations, leading to permanent residency for employees and retention for employers. Navigating this process correctly will ensure success, but getting it wrong can lead to a disaster. That's why you need an experienced team that knows the process thoroughly, all the ins and outs. The last thing employers want is to go through the whole recruitment and migration process only to have the employees leave after a short time. We also developed an intuitive online portal that connects nurses with employers, seamlessly making the entire process streamlined and efficient. Our approach isn't just efficient, it's also financially empowering. OSPATH optimises the costs associated with AFRA registration, enabling nurses to pursue their dreams without financial burdens. With OSPATH, international nurses don't just navigate registration, they embark upon a transformative journey. Our pathway enriches careers, ensuring dedicated professionals for employers and fulfilling careers for nurses. Our collaborations with industry leaders like iPass Processing, LeeCare Solutions, AusNed and Christie Migration ensure a constant supply of the world's most dedicated nurses. These partnerships provide our candidates with the best training, resources and support, making them highly sought after professionals. For employers, compliance is crucial, especially in aged care, where the new 24/7 registered nurses and care minutes requirements demand careful attention. OSPATH not only meets these staffing needs, but also tackles compliance obligations head on. Our nurses fulfil all employer requirements, easing the burden on training and ensuring quality care delivery. They seek permanent residency and career advancement, making them valuable long-term assets for any organisation. So join hands with AusPath today and be part of a movement that revolutionises healthcare staffing, enhances patient care, empowers careers and fosters global alliances. So register with AusPath now at www.auspath.agency and transform challenges into opportunities.
We have a strong partnership with AusPath because we know that they can be the instrument who can help you with your employment opportunities so that you can land in a job there in Australia. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Managing Director of AusPath, Mr. Frank Anferdorben. Frank, over to you.
Thank you, Rachel. Happy Saturday, everyone. Good to see so many of you here. Thanks, Rachel, and Debbie for showing the video there. That saves me a little bit of time there. So what I'll do is I'll try to share my screen now, and we'll see if ever we can all see that. So I'll just get a thumbs up from everyone. Can everyone see that on the screen there?
Yes, visible.
Fantastic. So AusPath was born about 2 years ago. My cousin Les and I, we discussed how best to have international nurses coming to Australia. We have a massive shortfall in Australia at the moment of nursing. So in Australia, as you saw in the video, there is over 140,000 nurses shortfall in Australia, of which there is currently about 40,000 shortage in aged care alone. My family were all nurses. I trained in 1989, so that tells you my age. But we have focused on aged care and gerontology in Australia. We do have a family business out there, which is a software business. In Australia, it is all about the patient care, but also about congruence of information. That means making sure that the information that you report in your daily reports and in your assessments all matches from one assessment to the other. So we've been doing that for the last 30 years, and we're actually not just in Australia, we're in 6 countries worldwide. With that, we have over 800 facilities or organisations that look to the family business, which is Lee Care, to organise for the documentation needs, the corporate governance needs of the facility as well. It goes into medication, goes into pharmacy. So we know the backbone, we know the infrastructure of Australian healthcare very, very well, and especially aged care. This gives us a unique opportunity for vocational nurses from the Philippines looking to come to Australia for permanent residency, working in aged care. It allows the nurses, therefore, to be fully trained by AusPath in the collaboration and the partnership with Lee Care prior to being employed, and that's for free. We offer that training for free, and that makes you very highly desirable to over 800 facilities in Australia. Now, there's thousands of organisations in Australia, and we're happy to provide job offers and to promote you to employees all around. It just makes it easier for the ones that are Lee Care trained, because we know we're talking to them daily. We know the quality of the employers that we potentially are proposing to you. So working in Australia, we have some great reasons to migrate to Australia. Obviously, we have one of the best lifestyles in the world. We have a diverse and welcoming culture. It's the land of opportunity. That's what we've been saying to the rest of the world for the last 120 years. Now that Australia is certainly the land of opportunity. Great place to work and live, amazing travel destinations, and really high income potential. The Australian government is supportive of international occupation professionals coming to Australia, and especially in the nursing. So we are an English-speaking country, and permanent residency visas are available, which I'll go through. So world-class employment opportunities, and we also have For all employers that are working in Australia, we have a superannuation guarantee, and I'll go into that a little bit more. That's basically, it's compulsory from the Australian government that all employers must, as well as your salary, they must contribute up to 12% in 2025, but at the moment it's 11% of whatever you earn. Over and above whatever you earn, that portion is held for you in trust in what we call superannuation for retirement fund. So we have worldwide skills recognition and the world's best medical facilities, and there are amazing career advancement opportunities there. So AusPath, what we do, we're an onboarding service that connects internationally qualified nurses, especially from the Philippines, with employment agents and providers in Australia. But we assist the migrant nurses coming in there. We are very much on the pastoral care side of things. So we make sure that pre-deployment and post-deployment, we're always there as a resource and a comfort for you guys there as a touch point always. The most significant challenges that we can see that nurses face in navigating the complex registration process for AFRA, which you've been going through today, you can understand. The Australian healthcare system itself, but it's mainly also the visa migration process and then actually finding employment. So with the job placement, we go into every step of the way. So with our partnerships, obviously with OpenUs Processing, and I'll go through some other partnerships that we have there as well. Not just with LeCare, providing educational support that gives you a very much an advantage in the Australian employment sphere and space. We also partner with another company there called AusMed. AusMed is Australia's largest online training company, and we all AusPath candidates that come through our portal. We provide over 1,275 online modules of learning and certifications that can be used to help again enhance your employment opportunities. So we have a look at the visas available for employment. There are two options that you can do, main options. The first one there is you can come to Australia as a student visa. You can, if you're not already don't have a Bachelor of Nursing, you can come to Australia. You can pay for the and study to become a nurse, and then go through that traditional pathway. What we find is a lot of nurses in the Philippines that already have a history and experience of clinical experience in nursing. The Australian government requires you to be able to prove that you have a minimum of 350 hours of clinical experience in the last 2 years, be eligible for the 482 transitional pathway. I'll get into that a little bit more as we go along. But this also presents us with an opportunity. In Australia, as you know, you go through the OBA, do the NCLEX, and from the NCLEX, you are then eligible at that time to apply for and pay for the OSCE examination process. That gives you equivalency of Australian registered nurse qualifications from anywhere in the world. You can come in there, sit the OSCE, and come and work as a registered nurse. As you already have heard today, that process is expensive and it takes a little bit of time to go through. At the moment, we're looking at around about 6 to 9 months for you once you've applied to be able to sit the examination itself on the OSCE. So rather than paying up front and then waiting all that time, and then you're waiting, you're studying, you're training, you're waiting, you can't do anything. What we have done is we've developed a transitional pathway. The transitional pathway allows an international nurse that has done the NCLEX AU qualification and examination to come immediately to Australia, and they can work as a personal care worker or personal care, you might hear it called a personal care assistant or attendant or an assistant in nursing. It all basically means the same thing. What that means is that you can come to Australia immediately and start working in facilities until you transfer your registration with AFRA as a registered nurse. So you're already on the ground working immediately in a very, very short period of time. In fact, the average time frame for a nurse to come directly from the Philippines to Australia is around about 77 days for the visa to be processed. So during that period of time, we give you some pre-training there as well. If you're going to a Lee Care facility, facility that has Lee Care program, we would train you in that. In the meantime, you would also have access to the OFMED training modules as well. So it's a little bit of time there for you to get ready. We do some pastoral care, make sure that we are linking you in with Australian chaplaincy services into the local churches and communities, the Filipino communities. We're making sure that you have all your insurances in place. Your English literacy test has been completed. We have all the checks and everything is uploaded and processed from with our migration partners. So when we go through, what we're offering there is permanent placement. We don't do on hiring of casual placements. What we specialise in is making sure that we get you permanent residency as the ultimate goal. And the way to do that is to make sure that we have international sponsorship with employers that are looking for vocational nurses. Okay, so one of the things that we do ask you to consider there is when you're coming to Australia under an international sponsorship, there is a time of discernment that you have there as well. All employers will want you to be under a probation period for at least 6 months. Now, that should be a time of discernment, obviously, for the employer to make sure that they're happy with you, but also that you're happy where you are. And we recommend that you don't think of bringing family with you until your probation period is ended. You don't want to be chopping and changing from one employer to the next. It does go against you in the future when you do apply for permanent residency, and there's some distinct rules. So when we're providing you with interviews with the employers, that's not just giving employers to make sure that they're happy with you, but that you're happy with the destination that you're going to as well. All right, so there are regional and metro opportunities. At the moment in Australia, it is a lot easier for you to get employment with a pathway to permanent residency by considering regional opportunities. And the regional opportunities are fantastic because they're usually only maybe an hour or two out of a capital city, and the Australian lifestyle and facilities and opportunities are fantastic. We set up all your employment interviews and the different types of roles. So what are the different types of roles? As we talked about, aged care facilities, public hospitals, general practice, emergency wards, and also one of the growing requirements and needs and availabilities is also for community health services. That's where you actually are employed by an organisation to go out there into the communities, and you're doing nursing in the residence or the patient's home themselves. So with aged care nurses, what do aged care nurses do? It's the service to the elderly that require assistance. So personal care, daily activities, medications, rehabilitation, social services, respite care, and also rehabilitative care. Aged care is a highly rewarding role. I trained in 1989 at what they call the hospital-based nursing, and it was one of the greatest times of my life there. For 3-4 years, I was working directly in aged care before transitioning to surgical nursing. But if it wasn't for aged care, I wouldn't have met my wife. My wife and I actually met in aged care, and my wife is still in healthcare as well today. And that's 27 years later. So nurses can develop close relationships with their residents and families and become a source of comfort and support. So as I keep on talking, it is a vocation, it is a calling. Rate of employment opportunities in aged care in Australia is extremely high. It's a very high demand, and very, very much job security is intrinsic in that role. So we look at aged care as main opportunities. So with OzPath, we have a unique online members portal, which we'll go through for you. You can register for free on our portal, which is at crm.ozpath.agency. And once approved, you can then upload your information. All of your personal information is redacted. That means it's hidden until the employer themselves look at your general profile and they're happy with that, and then we have an employment with you. At that point in time, they will become an offer of employment. We then have a responsibility of our due diligence to make sure that we go through that offer of employment carefully with you, make sure that you're happy before you accept. If there's something there that you're not sure about, we go through it with you. It's also an opportunity that time you can also negotiate as well, to some degree. So through the portal, that is a personal place where you can upload all of your credentials, your information. That then becomes an advertisement, a personal advertisement for you to over thousands of Australian employers. Right, so regularly updating your information on the portal is really important on that as well. Okay, this enables the employers to also keep up to date. So if you missed out on one job application, it doesn't mean that with that one employer that said, "Oh, that would be fantastic to work with them." You never know. A couple of months down the track, there might be another opening. They're more likely to reconsider you again at that time. Okay, so in Australia, we're also working with the employers closely for housing. A lot of the employers will offer either housing support or accommodation as an incentive as part of the employment offer. So that is also something to consider and to look out for when you're talking to employers. And we'll flag that with you and to say, okay, well, we've got two offers here. One is in, say, in metropolitan Adelaide, Sydney in South Australia with this nursing home, but then we also have another opportunity half an hour outside of Adelaide, but they're offering free accommodation. So, which, definitely if you have family, then that can be a big incentive as well. Okay. We plug you definitely into the Filipino communities in Australia. We have close relationships with the Australian Filipino chaplaincy services as well. And we make sure that we're helping you up front before you come there and setting up things such as your bank accounts, making sure you have a tax file number, which is required working in Australia, that you have your professional indemnity insurance and private health insurances, and then we can also assist you with setting up your superannuation account, which is for your retirement fund. As we said, that's a compulsory payment from the employers over and above your salary. With the our stakeholder support, I'll just play a little, hopefully the video comes through from AusMed. AusMed is a partner with OzPath there as well, and this is the company that has over 1,275 training modules, and that's important that every nurse in Australia, every year, you must do what they call continuous professional development. Okay, so that means that you're continually studying or continually being up to date with the latest information. It's not just things like, your first aid certificate or your CPR and things like that. It's actually information specific to the role that you have as a nurse in the environment and in the facility that you're working with. So we'll have a little bit of information here. We'll see if we can get this to come through on the video. One second.
Frank, sorry, we cannot hear the sound. If there's a sound.
Hi, Rachel.
We cannot hear the sound. The screen
Okay.
is showing the presentation, but there is no sound though.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll share this back with people later after them. Okay, we sort of watch it there anyway. You get the
So guys, OSMED is a partner of AUS Path. So they have this certain training that they can provide you, and this is actually paid, but with the partnership of OSMED and OSPath, they made it free for you. So you can have the training via OSMED, so you can become a more efficient nurse, ready to be able to work as a nurse in Australia. There you have it. You can see the aged care training, so you can have it for free if you are going to be signing up as well on the process or going through the process of OSPath. So these perks that you can get is actually not this is not for free for those who are not with OSPath. So you have to go first with OSPath so you can get the benefit of having the OSMED trainings.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. So I'll just see if I can fix it off. Just don't know how. Let's try that one. Okay. All right. There we go. So yes, as Rachel was saying, so that online training usually costs over 450 Australian dollars a year for you to keep your registration and all that going through. So for any candidates that join through the OSPath portal, they have immediate availability to that for 4 months. As we talked about, Lee Care is also a partner with us as family business. Australia's leading online aged care system in 6 countries, over 1,000 organisations. So I do have another video there that you're not going to be able to hear, but from my sister, Dr. Caroline Lee. So we can also make that available. So I think you might have already gone through this. I'll go through this pretty quickly, Rachel. You can guide me here. But I think people understand that the first step is to do the AFRA free online self-check. We know that for the Philippines, it will always come back as Stream B. Stream A applicants are only from the UK, Canada, US, Ireland, Hong Kong, and New Zealand, which means that it's one-to-one equivalent registration from one country to the other. So Philippines are Stream B, so you need to do follow the OBA to do your NCLEX and then an OSCE examination to be eligible to work as a registered nurse. Okay, so there are some costs obviously to do that, and we can go through that a little bit with you. All right, that's a little bit blurry there, so I'll just go through it. We've already done. As we know, the traditional pathway, if you do the self-check, the assessment, orientation, you get together a portfolio of your documents and qualifications. That means that your nursing examination results, your registration from the Philippines. Also, you need to have proof of clinical experience. For Australia, that is important to understand that is you need to be able to show at least 350 hours in the last 2 years of clinical experience. Okay, through IPATH, you have your training and your examinations of NCLEX. One of the things Australia requires is your criminal check or police check, that you are good character. You also need a literacy test. Now, this is important to understand. For literacy tests, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we call a transitional pathway. Now, traditionally, you need to have a minimum score of 7 on your IELTS or your PTE or your English literacy test. There is a way that we can actually, if your English literacy is a little bit lower than 7, you can still come to Australia and work. And that's what the transitional pathway, one of the benefits of that is. And I'm going to go through that in a little bit. You still have to have your biometrics, your health check. We would then be talking to employers. You'd have your OSPath employment offers would come through, and then you might do your OSCE training. So this is a traditional pathway. Okay, so there's a lot of steps in there, and it can actually be quite expensive. All right, so when we're looking at a transitional pathway, we still do the AFRA check and everything out there, the orientation. But what we're going to do is we're going to get you employed immediately in Australia as a personal care worker. What's a personal care worker do that differently to a registered nurse? Well, PCAs, or personal care workers, personal care attendants, they're in healthcare, just the same as a registered nurse, but they don't have the responsibilities of a registered nurse. The registered nurse is in charge of the shift of the ward, and they delegate the instructions of care to the personal care worker. Now, both personal care workers and registered nurses in Australia are required to do documentation of their care of every resident that they look after. In Australia, we used to have what was known as nurse to patient ratios. It's still somewhat in effect, but where we may have had, say, one nurse or one carer to, say, 4 or 5 residents in an aged care facility or patients in an acute care situation. In Australia, we now, in aged care, we have what is known as care minutes. That is a requirement that each individual resident in an aged care facility, currently the legislation is that they must receive a minimum of 200 care minutes of one-to-one care per day, per 24-hour period. That is actually raising in next year to 215 minutes of care. That's one-to-one care, okay, per resident. So that means that there's a greater opportunity now for organisations who must comply with the care minutes requirements. That means that they need to employ more carers and more RNs to make sure that those care minutes are fulfilled over a 24-hour period. If they cannot employ registered nurses 24/7, they can apply for an exemption to have carers. Now, so long as the employer is being seen to have advertised for positions and are actively looking for a solution to the shortage of registered nurses in Australia or within their facility, then they're not going to get into trouble with the department. The fact that what we are offering here as a transitional pathway is for you to come and work as a personal care assistant or personal care worker with the objective of becoming a registered nurse, that automatically makes them compliant. Okay, so it's very interesting. What we have then is minimal costs in coming to Australia. You're working immediately in a facility, you're earning a wage, a good wage, and there is a minimum set wage that the government sets. In Australia, it is on average a personal care worker will be earning between 53,000 to 58,000 AUD per annum. That's the going market rate. Under the transitional pathway, you come in under what is called a 482 transitional visa. You automatically then have a minimum working salary of 63,000. That's about 10% above the normal market rate. So very, very attractive. Now, mind you, that's only pro rata until you get your registered nurse registration equivalency, and then you negotiate your wage with your employer, or you can look at other employers who are at that stage. The average wage for, say, a 2-3 year experienced registered nurse in Australia is between 90 to 100,000. So it's a big jump in your salary. And remember that you're also getting on top of that, you get 11% of that as going straight into your superannuation retirement fund. Okay. So what we're looking at now is the transitional pathway is you're starting employment, and then you can start doing your AFRA registration and your OSCE application. So you're earning a living, you're earning enough money to be able, basically to be able to pay for your OSCE and your training of OSCE. Okay, so visa options and beyond. So the temporary skills visa, you come in under the 482 visa. It's a visa, temporary skilled visa, that an employer has to pay the Australian government upfront for however many years under contract that they're placing you there in their facility for. Generally speaking, an employer will be looking at employing you as a PCA with you going to an RN status within 6 to 12 months. So they would usually offer you a 1-year contract up front. As soon as you get your registered nurse status, you've completed your OSCE, and 6 to 8 weeks later, you have your registration, everything's gone through. Yep, brand new visa in place and a brand new contract is in place. Now, it's important to note that under international sponsorship, the employer pays the visa costs, all right, the initial visa costs. And subsequent visa costs are dependent on that employer. If they the second time around and subsequent ones, whether or not it's with the same employer and a brand new contract is undertaken, or you go to a new employer, that is up to the employer then if they're going to pay that. Once you're here in the country and you do that, then that is generally your cost ongoing. So that's why it's sometimes, better to stay with that employer long term, so that you can have the best opportunity for permanent residency. You're required to have a job offer, at least 2 years of experience in the position, nursing, and a genuine intention to work in a nominated position. Qualifications for resident that are very relevant to the position, and you have health insurance. Okay. You must meet your health, character, and English requirements, so that's the English literacy test and your police check. Okay. This will allow you then to proceed to permanent residency on the 482, generally after 3 years. Now, once you have your registered nurse, you can apply for the 494 visa or the 191, or what we call the 186 visa subclass. The 494 visa is the traditional way of how it's been going through. And what that means is it's an important consideration, especially if you have family. All right. The 494 visa is good because it allows you then to have your permanent residency after 5 years. It takes a lot longer than some other visas. You have to stay with employer for 5 years, but you get the benefit of Medicare. That's free healthcare. You also get the benefit of student support for young families. So education support, so you get free education, so free schooling and free healthcare. So that could be a definite incentive and a definite consideration for you if you have family that you want to bring. Otherwise, we have what's called 186 visa subclass. That's the pathway to permanent residency. Traditionally, it was 3 years. It's now being it's immediately available. Hasn't been widely known to the general public. It is to our migration partners already. All of our migration partners, they get all the information well ahead of time before it's released to the public, because migration agents are the experts and they're the ones responsible for making sure that the visa processing is done smoothly for every candidate, for every employee coming into Australia. So the 186 transition visa is coming on board. It's available now. It's reduced. The time frame is reduced from 3 years down to 2 years. So as long as you you apply for that 186 visa, and you can show that you have been working for the same employer for at least 2 years, then you can be eligible for permanent residency. Now, the 186 visa, as it stands at the moment, takes between 15 to 18 months to come across, but you're still working. So whilst you're working, you're satisfying the conditions of that visa anyway, that you have to have at least that 2 years. So by the time the 186 visa comes into play, you may have already been working for one employer, say for 2.5 years, automatically then eligible for permanent residency. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. The 494 visa is useful in some situations. It is being phased out in preference to the 186 visa. It's a little bit easier and a little bit quicker, 2 years or 2.5 years in reality, rather than 5 years. Okay, for you to get until you get your permanent residency. And we can certainly help out with explaining all of this one-to-one. You see on the screen there, Christie Migration. Belinda Christie, a sincere apology, she wasn't available to come to talk to you to answer any questions today. But she's there is another video here which probably won't work, but the Christie Migration is our partner in Australia, and they work with us very, very closely, and they work with you individuals one-to-one as well. Okay. So the 482 benefits there as well is there's an age restriction for the TSS 482 visa. There's no age limit to come immediately on there. So you can come as a 55-year-old, no problems, and you can work under, say, a 4-year contract on the 482 visa. But if you're looking for permanent residency, there are age concessions to pay at the time of lodging the permanent residency application. Right. Otherwise, you'd be looking at the 186 or 494. So there's a few different things that you can have opportunities for, but you then need to make sure that you have an employer that's willing to put you on for permanent residency if you're aged over 55. And this is where the data comes into play as well. A bit more detail. So, as we said, you can have your family travel to and from Australia for international visa, and you can apply for permanent residency. Okay. Main differences, it might be a little bit smaller screen if you can see there. The temporary skills shortage is currently, it says in there, most visas are processed in 83 days. It's generally between 60 to 77 days here at the moment. If you're already in the country, then obviously, if as a student visa, then it's a little bit quicker as well. So these are just the costing there. So the employer under the 482 pays the cost, which is about $3,035. When you, after you're looking for permanent residency, there's a $4,640 cost under the 186 visa. Okay. The 494 visa, you do have the benefits here, Medicare, government education support. It's still available, but it is being phased out. Permanent residency after 5 years. Okay, and suitable for consideration about 45. Okay. So this chart here, I do apologise, it's a little bit blurry. Belinda just sent it through to me at the last minute there, and I haven't had a chance to clean it up. But it shows you what the career path is. I'll make this available through to iPass to Rachel, and she can send that through to you as well afterwards. But it gives you the options for your consideration. All right, the 482 is higher cost, it's shorter processing time, but there's no Medicare. The 494, there is Medicare, overall cheaper costs, but you cannot change your visa for 3 years, and you cannot move to Metro either. So if you're working in a regional area, you're there basically for the 3 years and another 2, right? So that's why I said 5 years. So this is, we try to make it hopefully as simple as possible to follow. Okay, but by all means, reach out to us. So, how much do Australian nurses earn? Again, well, that depends. Okay, and how many hours a week? Understand that if you are here in Australia under a student visa, and that would be generally the 500 visa, you can only work 48 hours a fortnight. Okay, so whilst you're studying, you can only earn 48 hours a fortnight. Now, something that I wasn't aware of that I only just found out just recently is during the school holidays and Christmas period, where you don't actually have, you're expected to be studying, you can actually work full time. You can earn more hours. So during the school breaks and semester breaks and Christmas holidays and things like that, if you want to work, you can work too. Okay, so that's That is interesting. I thought, okay, I wasn't aware of that, and I don't think a lot of people are aware of that. Under a 482 visa, you can work full time, so you can work a full 40-hour week. All right. So the average registered nurse salary is about $80,574 a year, or $41.32. That's AUD an hour. Okay. Entry-level positions such as grad nurses, well, it's not really relevant because, as I said, as I identified to you, you must show that you've had a minimum 2 years clinical experience. So once the registered nurse you come back through, you'll be like an RN level 2. You're not going to be on the 77. You're going to be basically offered at least 80,000. Okay. However, experienced workers. So I'm talking about 4 or 5 years. You're a charge nurse. You've got clinical experience out there. You're a clinical nurse specialist. An experienced worker easily makes up to 100,000 AUD a year as a registered nurse. Okay, so that's whether or not you're in acute care or aged care. So if you're in aged care and you're working for someone and you're already an experienced nurse and you work there for 4 or 5 years, after 4 or 5 years, you're going to quite easily be on up to 100,000. We will have offers we can look around for a position that will pay you 100,000 a year. Right? As well as permanent residency, that's a pretty good offer to come to Australia. Right? Equivalent feeding, that just shows you about 3.8 million PHP in equivalents. Right? Personal care workers, as I said, they enjoy a minimum salary of 63,000 plus 11% superannuation. So that's your as of today's rate, that's your calculation. All right, superannuation. So 11% of that is $7,000. Now you don't have access to that superannuation until you retire. Or if you decide after say 4 or 5 years, you want to go back home to the Philippines, you can cash out that superannuation as a one-time payment. You will never be allowed to get permanent residency in Australia again, though. All right, so just be aware that yes, you can cash that superannuation out, and if you're going back home or you're repatriated home or anything like that, you're never going to be allowed to work in Australia again with permanent residency. Okay, your visa may even be not even allowed if you decide to basically take possession of it. Right? So that is, it is supposed to be there for your retirement. Retirement age in Australia is 65 years of age. Okay, and that's a compulsory scheme with compulsory fees that are done. So 11.5%, 11% in 2023. It goes up 0.5% in 2024, then up to 12% in 2025. So if you were on $100,000 a year and you would be earning $44,000 in superannuation just after 4 years. All right, so that's a nice handy sum there. So if you're working for the next 10, 15, 20 years in Australia, that money goes into a retirement fund. It's usually through what we call an Australian super fund. AusPath has a partnership. There is absolutely no financial incentive for AusPath to do this. It's purely as pastoral care, and it's a requirement for you to have your superannuation with Catholic Super in Australia. Right? That's our preferred provider. You can choose whatever superannuation fund that you want. There are some benefits with Catholic Super in that they also offer free financial advice and support, plus telehealth. That means that you don't, especially if you're in a regional area or something like that, or you're sick at home, you can actually have free access to doctors and other nurses, I suppose, and pharmacists online through virtual health. All right, so it's very, very advantageous. All AusPath candidates can have free access to those ancillary benefits without any cost upfront by joining up with Catholic Super through our website. That will be available actually from next week. You'll actually be able to see that. We've just done a special deal with Catholic Super just in the last 2 weeks. So what that enables you to do is basically, it's called what's like a soft membership. You have access to all of their benefits, but then when you start working, you have a membership number. You apply that membership number, and then you basically have your superannuation fund set up for you. Now, that superannuation fund over the years also attracts compound interest. So it's a true savings fund. Generally, the superannuation funds are a little bit higher interest than what you're going to get in a bank. You might only get 1 or 2% in the bank. Most Australian industry super funds, they're anywhere between 8 to 15% per annum as a return on investment. So some years they go down, some years they go up. There was a couple of years just previously where there was negative interest basically going in. There are fees that compulsory fees that the fund applies to the balance in your account, so you'll see it going up and down. Traditionally, an employer had to pay the equivalent of the percentage of your wages every financial quarter. All right, so 4 times a year. That has just changed now. The new legislation in Australia is that every single time you are paid, whether you're paid weekly, fortnightly, monthly, the employer must pay the contribution into your superannuation account at the time of payment. So if you're paid fortnightly, they pay a percentage over and above into your superannuation account fortnightly. Why is that important now? Well, that's important now because previously they only had to pay quarterly. The fact that they're now paying maybe fortnightly or monthly means that that compound interest ratio increases. So over time, your balance of your retirement fund increases and increases and increases. So it's going to actually be compounding more often. Okay, so that's quite important, and that's a really good incentive that the government now has put into place this year. So superannuation bonuses there. These are just a couple of nurses that have come through to Australia, all IPASS nurses, I believe, that have come through. And this is just basically we've asked them to say, well, why have you come to Australia? What have you found coming to Australia? What's your experiences been? Okay, so gentleman here is now working as a registered nurse in a public hospital in Central New Zealand, and now is working, in an aged care facility in Southwest Sydney, which is a clinical care coordinator. That's a senior nurse out there. On average, they would be earning around about $90,000 to $100,000 a year in that position. Okay. Another individual that's come through to Australia, working in regional Queensland. Okay. And in one area, especially in Mackay, which is North Queensland out there, which is what we call one of these DAMA, D-A-M-A areas, or designated areas. Okay. So the current opportunity, the big opportunity in Australia at the moment is twofold. And it's important that you understand the considerations of where and how you can be employed in Australia. There are 3 instruments of employment in Australia for international sponsorship. The first one is what they call the aged care instrument or labour instrument. Not a lot of companies. There's only 5 companies in the entire Australia that has agreed to this, because it's a little bit unfair to the employers. The aged care agreement, they have to work in conjunction with the trade union under a memorandum of understanding, and it's very, very clear for the employers to have a fair and equitable relationship with the employees. So the other opportunity that they have there is under what they call company-specific labour agreement. That is mainly for employers that are in metropolitan areas of Australia. There are thousands of employers that all have their company-specific labour agreement. That means that they then have a special agreement with the Australian government to be able to sponsor international nurses. Okay, and with that, they are free then to incentivise the nurses by offering over and above market rate. The third instrument is the one that we are focusing on mainly, is called the Designated Area Migration Areas, or the DAMA areas. And there are 12 areas in Australia, of which South Australia, the entire state of South Australia, falls under this DAMA area. There's some in every state of Australia, just about, but they are mainly regional areas. These DAMA areas enable you to come to work in Australia immediately as a personal care worker. When I say immediately, after a couple of weeks after processing the application, and you can work immediately as a PCA or personal care worker, and then transition to RN. Okay, and these are the areas where most of the employment opportunities come from. Right. What you need to do now is totally free. Go to crm.auspath.agency, click join. Just go through the details from there. You'll receive a lot of emails with instructions come back through. You'll also receive a free 30-minute session with one of our HR managers. If you're in Davao or Cebu or Manila, it'll generally be Chappie. Our HR manager will speak to you, have a half-hour session. It's totally free. And what that is, it's an interview, just an online interview that we go through, and we make sure that you understand the process. Again, if you have any questions, you can certainly ask us. But what we also do is we make sure that you have all the information uploaded onto the portal. All right, so the portal is there. As we said, it's we've developed the portal for you to put all of your information in there, so that we can help you then best present yourself to the Australian employers. Okay, so the application will generally be approved within 24 hours. So what you'll see is when you click on the join button, then you'll see the green button there, join our Premier Agency now, and you join as a nurse. Companies will also be coming onto our portal, and they will then be able to see your profiles. All right. Now as a nurse, go through some information. It's just your basic information in there. Create a username and password. We will email this back through to you to confirm it. And then you have the opportunity to upload a picture of yourself. It always goes in your favour if you have a picture. The employers always want to see that you are a real person. So take the time just to take a quick snapshot and upload it. And we also ask you then to upload your resume or CV. If you don't have a resume or CV, then that can be discussed in the free half-hour session for you, and we help you to set that up for you as well. Okay, so basic information. You'll be able to go through and you check, tick box where you are at under the OBA pathway. All right, have you done your AFRA self-check? You've identified yourself as Stream B and you've started the OBA. Have you actually done your NCLEX training? Have you completed the NCLEX training with IPASS, and have you sat your NCLEX examination? Have you already applied through AFRA? Are you doing your OSCE training now, or are you actually past your OSCE and they're just looking for work? Have you done your police check? Have you done your English literacy? So there's a few things in here that we go through, and this is why it is what we call a live portal. You are continually going in there, updating and upgrading your information. The employers will also have access to certain information. Not all of your personal information, just relevant information that they need to see. Okay, do you have a valid credentials to fit the position that they're looking for an employer for? Okay, so once you've done that, you can fill in some more information. We encourage you to be as open and honest as you can, and to provide as much information as you can. The employers are regularly going through, and we're also promoting and trying to find the best employee match to the employer as well. So the more information that you put onto the portal about yourself, the more certifications, credentials, all the information that you have, and the more open and honest that you are in answering the basic questions in there, the more chance that we are going to get you in front of employers. All right. Employers don't want to just go through the list and see, oh, okay, this person is an NCLEX passer. They click on the profile and there's nothing, it's just blank. They're much likely to engage and ask for an interview if you have a lot of information in there for them. All right. Make sure you're honest in the age and experience fields at all stages. How you heard about us is important as well. And also, you know, some experience and ask some questions that the employers want to know. Once you've answered some of the basic questions in there, you have an opportunity then to always go back into your profile, but you can upload. Just click upload the file. Generally, as a PDF is fine. A docx spreadsheet, images, JPEG files, it's pretty much open. There's no real restriction to the files that you upload there. All right, but we've given you obviously the fields in there to upload the most important information. Okay. We do have the privacy policy. Your information is totally secured. All right, we do not share your information with anyone unless it's an employer wanting specifically to offer you an employment contract, and then some personal information will be then. The only other company that has access and has the right to see your personal information there is the migration agent. Remember, they're working on your behalf, and then you sign an agreement with them to say, yes, you're happy for them to have your personal information. Right, that's the consent form. Okay, so if we go back through, once you have registered on our portal, you'll then have access to a lot of information. We regularly keep in touch with you. There is a workflow of emails that come back through. You have a membership profile, and you'll now welcome membership email. You'll also then be given a link that you can book your free 30-minute consultation. Okay. We use Calendly, which is a fantastic service on our portal. It means that you can click on a day and you can actually see what hours or days or slots are actually available. So if you know that, oh, okay, I'm currently working at the moment, but I'd like a 30-minute meeting on Friday the 14th, here you can see what time slots are available with our managers, with our HR managers. All right, if they're not available, they won't appear. Okay, and that's again just a Google Meet. After that, the next thing is for us to get you employment offers. All right, so when you're ready, people please just go straight to crm.auspath.agency, start signing up. There it is. As I said, it is for free. For the time being, so get in there quick, and we'll approve that generally within 24 hours, and we'll be in touch generally within 72 hours. And if you have your calendar open and you put that through as a half-hour session, then that is your session. Nobody else will be available or for us to see at that time. It's just purely yours and yours alone. Okay. That's pretty much it there. I might pass it back to Rachel now, because I think that's pretty much the end of the slide.
Thank you, Frank, for that very informative information that you have provided to our nurses. So one of the common questions that they are asking is how many years of experience will they be required? So to answer that, on the process of your NCLEX application and on the process of your OSCE examination, there is no required experience, but at least you have like 3 months of experience for us to be able to proceed on the license registration, for you to be able to have your license. Okay, then once you're done with that, or the requirement that the OSPAT will be needing for you, coming from you, will be at least, as what was Frank presented earlier, was at least 2 years. So because if your employer, if you are going to put yourself on the part of the employer, definitely you would want that the nurse already has the experience, so that you will not be able to have a difficulty once you're going to start working, especially that this is a different country, different culture. So definitely you need to have a certain level of experience so that you can work efficiently with your patients once you are already there working. So I got it right, Frank, that the experience that will be required by the employers will be at least 2 years.
Correct. So they're asking for minimum is 350 hours in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So one of the important things that you need to be able to also provide is proof. And that is in the way of pay slips or bank statements to say that you actually have been employed and paid for services and for clinical experience during those for those 2 years as well. All right. So it's an important consideration that people forget about, but it is actually important. So I don't think too many nurses will be paid cash in hand somehow, but so long as you actually have proof of your position and your experience.
Thank you, Frank. So for those of you, who are also thinking, so how can AUS Path agency help you with the employment opportunities later on? So the ones that Frank was able to present to you via the PPT is that they will be able to present you to their employers. So you have to sign up with their portal so that they have the information, so they can present to their employers that, hey, for example, I am a facility. For example, I am an employer in Australia. So I will communicate with the AUS Path for me to be able to know if they have these nurses, and then AUS Path will be able to present to you, to the employers, that we have these nurses. We can present these nurses. They have this much experience and these statuses. They are done with the NCLEX, they're done with the OSCE, they have already the license. So they will help you with that. So it will be the employers later on who's going to provide you the visa that you need. It's not the AUS Path, it is the employers who's going to provide you. Yes, it will be the employers who's going to provide you the visa later on. So I hope that's clear to you as well.
There is one question that is that's just come through on the chat, which is very relevant and it's quite often asked. Is that okay? I'm a registered nurse in the Philippines. I don't have much clinical experience in the last 2 years, but I've worked, over the last 5 years. Unfortunately, it is recent and valid experience that is a requirement. So it is actually within the last 2 years. If you can show that you've had 350 minimum 300 hours of practice in the last 2 years, but 450 in the past 3 years, then that is also valid. All right. The first thing that they look for, though, is and the consideration is for recent clinical experience. Right. So you can have a consideration. They will consider the 450 hours over the previous 3 years, but they prefer to see 300 hours in the last 2 years. Okay.
Thank you, Frank. So Les Unferdorben is a cousin of Frank Unferdorben. Les Unferdorben, who is with us on this meeting, is the CEO and the founder of AUS Path. So they're working together with Frank, who is his cousin, so that they can provide you the best opportunities later on, and so that you can also have the better career progression there in Australia. So thank you very much, Frank and Les. And let me show you my screen. So this is also the Facebook page of AUS Path Agency. You can follow them as well. So we're planning also to provide more information later on with regards to the one that was presented by Frank earlier, regards to the DAMA, regarding the superannuation, so that you can better understand later on these terms, so that you'll be more equipped with regard to your plans of progressing your career in Australia. So please follow and like this page so that you'll be notified if ever that we have like information sessions later on. So let me now also share my screen. Yes, Les is sharing to you the information here. You can see the link via the chat box. So if you have questions, feel free to also chat in the comment section. Then I'm going to share to you now. Thank you, Frank, for that very informative information. Thank you to Les as well, who are also with us.
Everyone.
So let me just share to you what do we also have in IPAS processing for your review program. So earlier, Sir G, sir, mentioned to you, I will just make this quick because I know that it's already 12 noon here in the Philippines. So you will be, wait, there is a, yeah. So we in IPAS, we can assist you with regard to your NCLEX application for the OBA pathway, and then we can also assist you for your NCLEX online review program. So the program that we provide, yes, the program that we provide started last 2017, and we transitioned it to online last 2020 during the height of the pandemic. So in our program, we have, it's already, as you know, it's already the next generation NCLEX. So we have the next generation NCLEX online review program. So our program consists of, our program consists of 3 months classes. This is the entire duration for a certain cycle, in which within the 3 months period, we're going to provide you all the necessary information that you need in preparation for your NCLEX, in preparation for your NGN. So once you're going to enroll with IPAS, you will just be paying first the enrollment fee, and then on the next month, on the second month, you will be paying again the 5,000, and then the third month it will be 5,000. So the entire package will be 17,000. There is a promo that we provide now to our clients. It's 17,700. But if you're going to get the bundle for the NCLEX OBA application, and at the same time you get the service for the online review program that we provide, there is a more discounted rate that we can provide to you. So I would encourage you to just email us or send us a message via our Facebook page at IPAS Processing, or you may send us through our email address at oba_Australia at ipasprocessing.com, so that you'll be able to know the bundle price if ever that you're going to get the bundle price for the process as well as the review program. So we start first with the assessment. You will have your initial assessment, and then usually it will be at this time it's daily. We do that via the live classes. It will be done via the Zoom webinar. And then if you are not able to attend the live Zoom webinar, then you also have your access 24/7 through our online learning platform. So these are the subjects that you'll be able to know for the entire duration of the 3 months. So say, for example, you are not yet prepared to take the NCLEX after the 3 months of preparation, then you can still, you are still eligible to attend our classes up to 1 year. So if you think that you need more preparation, you need more months for you to prepare for the NCLEX, then you are still eligible to attend up to 1 year. So here's the portal that I can show to you with regard to the learning platform that we are using. Let me just share the online portal. So say, for example, you are a working nurse and you're not able to attend the live classes because we do the live classes online. So you can access your portal 24/7. So you just go here you just access the online portal, and then you have all the information. You have all the videos, all the handouts, all the topics, all the books that you also need in preparation for your NCLEX. So basically you can access this 24/7. A lot of our students may not be able to attend the live classes because usually it's 8 p.m. until 12 midnight. We make the schedule on the time because usually most of our educators are US based. So as what I've mentioned, even though you are going to take the NCLEX NCLEX Australia, the preparation will entirely be the same as to the preparation of NCLEX USA and NCLEX Canada, because the difficulty of the examination is really the same. So the preparation is still the same. It's still the same next generation NCLEX. So this is our online platform that you can have. You will have the login details for the online platform once you have already started or you have availed our program for the NCLEX review. Another thing that we are also doing in our online review program is that there is also a mentoring part for the program. So it's not just only a discussion with regard to the topics for the nursing topics, but we also have our mentoring program. This is because we know and we understand that once you're preparing for the NCLEX, it's truly difficult if there is no one who's going to guide you on your preparation. So that's the reason why we have our success coaches in our review program. So what they will do is that they will communicate with you via your email, and they're going to have coaching sessions. It will not be a discussion of the nursing topics when you have the coaching session, but it's more on planning, on how you're going to plan in preparation for your NCLEX. So what is the status of your preparation now? Say for example, if you are already, like, you have already done 1 month of your review program with us, so they're going to check on you from time to time so that you can be able to know what more do I need in preparation for my NCLEX for me to ace my examination. So we provide a holistic approach in our online review program. We have wellness sessions. We also have anxiety management workshop before you will sit for your examination, like a month or 2 months before your examination. We provide this workshop along with the send-off program, because we understand that one of the reasons why takers for the NCLEX do not make it is sometimes because even though they are fully prepared for their NCLEX, but they can be overwhelmed by their anxiety. So we help the students to manage their anxiety so that once they are already there in the Pearson VUE Testing Center, they are more confident to ace their examination. So we also have open forums. So we have already produced a lot of NCLEX passers. You can see in IPAS processing that we every day there's a passer that we greet. So a lot of those are coming from the IPAS Honor Review and Mentoring Academy. So since the next generation NCLEX, since the NCLEX is already the next generation NCLEX, so the support that we provide to our students is we provide case study sessions, because part of your NCLEX examination is the case studies. So we prepare the students well through the delivery of the case study classes. We also have next generation enhancement classes. We also provide free NGN classes via our Facebook pages. So this is our 12th cycle, which will start by November 20, and it will end, as you can see, this is the live classes that they conduct via Zoom webinar. And also what I've mentioned, if you're not able to attend the live session via the scheduled class, then you can just log into your online learning platform. So it will run until February of 2024. That will end by February 29. So if ever that you are interested of getting the online review and the NCLEX process of IPAS processing, then you just communicate with us. So these are our passers. We also have a lot of corporate partners, and these are our team members. So we have a lot of team members who are working collaboratively so that we prepare the students. So we have our educators, we have our success coaches, we also have our question developers for the next generation NCLEX, and we have our coordinators. So if ever that you're interested, just let us know. and you just need to communicate via our Facebook page. So that's the information that I can share to you with regard to the online review program. So any question that you have, maybe you have any question with regard to the online review. Is it possible to get an employer even if we pass the NCLEX and OSCE, but we don't have a recent 2 years experience? Les, maybe you can address this concern coming from Amr. Is it possible to get an employer even if we pass the NCLEX and OSCE, but we don't have a recent 2 years clinical experience?
I'm not sure if Les is there, but
Frank is there. Yes, Frank.
yeah, Les has already done it. So yes, it is, but 300 is practice, only 3 months work experience.
Okay, thank you for that information. So according to Les and Frank, yes, but 300 hours of practice is only 3 months of work experience. So you are done with the NCLEX and the OSCE, but for them to be able to have, yes, it is. Maybe you just need to communicate with them as well. So I would advise Amr that you register through their portal.
Yeah, that's all I was just about to say. Any questions like that, that's sort of a little bit out of the ordinary, just come directly, register through the portal. Once you're on through the portal, you're going to have direct access to us. People are going to be monitoring questions and answering you very, very quickly.
Okay, so if you don't have work experience as of now, I think this is also the best time that you start. If you really want to go to Australia later on and be able to bring your family there as well, then it is imperative that from this moment on, you already have to work on that clinical experience that your employers will be needing from you later on. Because definitely, if I am the employer, I would also choose a nurse who already has the experience, because I would be able to know that this nurse can really truly take care of my patients efficiently. So that would be my best advice if you really want to go to Australia, because that is although it's possible for us to sit for the NCLEX without the experience yet and do the OSCE, have the license, but later on, how can you be more competent when it comes to the provision of your safe nursing in Australia? So it needs practice, it needs experience as well. Can we pay via online banking, or is it there a need for us to go to the bank and pay in dollars? For the online review program, you can pay it via online bank transfer, or you can pay through our website via your credit card, or you can also visit our offices. So yeah, yes, these are the modes of payment that we can provide to you. So it can be via online transfer for the online review program, or the NCLEX application procedure. So for the information of AUS Path as well, that's free for you. You just register for free so that they can provide you so that they can present you to their employers later on, and you don't need any payment for that, for the registration on their portal. Any questions? Any further questions? So I hope that you gain insights and information through the discussion that we do have today with regard to the clinical experience or exposure as a clinical instructor. Counted is considered according to Frank. Yes, it is. Thank you, Frank. Yeah. Any more questions? The benefits of living and working in Australia and getting PR are fantastic. Yes, I would agree on that. Okay, if you don't have any questions, if you have any questions later on, you may just email us at oba_australia@ipasprocessing.com, and I also would like to advise you to follow the pages of AUS Path Agency and the IPAS processing, so that if we have more information sessions later on, you can also be able to attend the information session. And we hope that you gained information out from this discussion. And thank you very much for your attendance. So if ever that you're interested of starting your NCLEX OBA pathway, now is already the best time to start on your NCLEX application. Then we provide assistance on your NCLEX Australia application. We endorse you to our partners for the, we can assist you for the NCLEX online review program for the next generation NCLEX. We can assist you in endorsing you to our partner for the OSCE review program. And then AUS Path Agency will be able to assist you on your employment opportunities later on. So thank you very much for your time and have a great Saturday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, Les. Thank you,
All right.
Jennifer.
Thank you
And
very much, Mom Rachel and Sir Frank, for the details about the in Australia, no? So now, again, we are very much thankful for attending today's free info session, and we hope you consider the IPAS processing with the assistant of your NCLEX Australia application. All right. So thank you very much for attending today's free info session. We hope you have a great day and goodbye po.